I actually can't believe this. It's so much worse than I thought. Oh gosh.
Someone with the right tools could probably decode this shipping label.
I'm very, very self-aware of what I spend money on, and I'm very careful with how I spend my money.
Starting to believe this whole story was made up for views. Yeah, I would say that she definitely has a right to be very disappointed.
A reminder to never post your shipping labels on your public TikTok account.
There has been an influencer scandal happening over on TikTok this week. Internet drama usually doesn't interest me in the slightest, but I've been keeping an eye on this situation since it began about a week ago, and I want us to take a look at it because it combines a few of the big topics I talk about on my channel. Influencers and social media, shopping and buying things secondhand, and making questionable financial decisions.
Okay, so I'm coming on here before I crash out, but we're gonna have a little vent session real quick because I honestly don't know what to do and I need help.
So this video was posted a week ago and it currently has over 8 million views, but it's 9.5 minutes long, so I've cut it down to just a few minutes to include only the key bits, so let's give it a watch.
There is a influencer that I follow on social media. Absolutely love her style. If I could literally copy and paste her closet into my closet, I would. We are the same size. So said influencer, I'm not gonna say any names, does frequent closet sales. I've always wanted to buy it, but I'm very picky with clothes. Things fit me really differently. Like I really have to try stuff on. She posted, hey guys, have 3 bags of clothing for sale, large bags, name brand clothing. So she does these bags, $200 for a bag of clothes. And I've always wanted to do one, but I was like, $200 is kind of a lot for not knowing like what you're gonna get or, you know, if anything's gonna fit you, but I was feeling spontaneous. And she was like, yeah, I'll cover shipping for you if you wanna do 2. So I was, you know what, F it. Like, I'll just get 2. Like, this is fun, whatever. And she was like, are you looking for anything kind of like specific? And I was like, just starting to build like my summer wardrobe, looking for like dresses, like summery tops. She said, okay, great. She was like, I'll ship it by the end of the week. Okay, great. Like whenever you do ship it, can you just send me the tracking? Because like I Venmoed this girl $400. Like I at least just wanted the tracking number. So this is where it kind of gets a little, So let's just say this kind of back and forth, hey, did you ship it yet? Texting kind of went back and forth for almost 3 weeks. I felt like an absolute idiot texting this girl like almost every other day saying, hey, did you ship it yet? Can I have the tracking number? Like, I get it. Like, I don't want to bother you. Like, I know you have a life, you have a job, but like to send someone like $400 and like not have a tracking number, like it just kind of felt like I was like throwing money out the window. Like, and $400 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
So we're already seeing some red flags here with this situation. Dropping $400 on a random bag of clothes from a stranger on the internet. And now said stranger seems to be putting off sending you those clothes. And I'm sorry, I don't care how busy you are. If somebody sends you $400, you better find some time to get yourself to that post office, because not shipping something after 3 weeks when you've received the money for it is diabolical. Anyway, it gets worse.
So back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now this is like February like 12th. It is now, what's today? March 16th, and I just got the package. Over a month. When she said 2 large trash bags of clothes, I kind of expected the box to be a little bit bigger than this. Keep in mind, this is supposed to be $400 worth of clothing.
So it's taken over a month for these clothes to arrive, and when it did arrive, what was supposed to be 2 large trash bags of clothes is actually 1 large-ish box. Oh boy. Let's see what's inside the box, shall we?
The first thing is a legit bridesmaid's dress, which is a size 6, and I'm like a 0, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that. A pair of like really worn jean shorts, Urban Outfitters skirt. This Francesca's vest. This is a brand that's sold in Marshalls and like TJ Maxx, and it's a sweater that says whatever. This dress.
Oh my God, bro.
I'm so sorry, but this stuff is so bad. I am no fashion icon, okay? You guys know this, but oh my goodness, what is going on here?
This top. Okay. This belt. This little satin Zara top. This top. This pair of pants that are like kind of like all ripped at the bottom. Velvet jumpsuit.
And keeping in mind here that she specifically asked for summery things. This is insane.
Leather leggings. A Zara like velvet top. This J. Crew like, I don't know, it's completely see-through. Dress, cover up, I don't know. Top that's broken. I don't even know how you would close it. It also has like just stains all over it. This hat, this bikini that's literally yellow and cut. A pair of sneakers that are stained, and I could probably pull the bottoms off. These heels. I'm not gonna say anything else, but You tell me if that's worth $400 and what you would do in this situation, because I don't know if this box was meant to go to Goodwill or I'm at a loss for words.
So yeah, TLDR, this creator, her name is Taylor, is a big fan of this influencer and said influencer's style. Taylor spends $400 on 2 large trash bags of secondhand clothes from this influencer. For my non-US viewers, that's about 300 GBP, 550 Canadian dollars, 570 Australian dollars, or about 37,000 INR. The clothes arrive after a month of waiting, but the clothes are not what she expected. The pieces were super random, old, used, stained, in bad condition. It actually looks like a charity shop blind bag. Actually, I feel like most charity shop clothes are sold in better condition than some of these pieces. So my immediate reaction was, yeah, that sucks. You've paid an influencer $400 hoping for some nice summery pieces, and they've basically sent you a bunch of their random old unwanted stuff. The comments are saying $200 is a lot for not knowing what you're getting. I'll take 2. Babe, if you were on the fence about it, why did you buy 2? She cleaned out her 2014 to 16 wardrobe and sold it to you for $400. Girl, call the influencer out. Report fraud, seriously? It took so long because she was going to Goodwill to try and find items to send you. The general consensus here is that, you know, if you were unsure about spending $200 on a random mystery bag of clothes, why did you double down and buy 2? Some of the clothes that she received in this bundle really are wild. There is a separate video where she's trying some of the stuff on.
Okay, so this was one of the first things. It's just this really long maxi. It's like a bridesmaid's dress.
This isn't the ugliest dress I've ever seen, but like, it's just such a specific item of clothing. Like, how many times a year are you gonna want to wear a dress like this?
Okay, next up has to be one of my personal faves, which is just this little sweater that says whatever on it. And then I paired it with these Spanx leather leggings. They're really cute.
This is genuinely 2015 fashion. This outfit is just, it's 2015.
Next up we have this dress, and I think this will be great for summer. I'm really trying to build my summer wardrobe right now, and there's nothing better than a nice little dress, little top with the super cute like crochet detail on the neck and the sleeves. Urban Outfitters little cargo skirt, super lightweight striped pants. They have pockets, which are great. And then just this little satin tank top.
I love how like wrinkly everything was as well. Like when she pulled that black top out of the package, oh my goodness, like how do you feel okay sending somebody something that they've paid $400 for in that condition?
Velvet jumper from Free People. Then we have this little like knit crochet top. I probably have to wear a tank top under it because it is broken. I don't really know how to close it. Girl has got me set for my next beach trip. Got this adorable mahi bikini, and then got this awesome cover-up shirt. I'm not really sure how I would style velvet for the summer, but
I actually can't believe this. This is the first time that I'm watching this video the whole way through, and oh my goodness, it's so much worse than I thought. Oh gosh.
This is another piece I'm kind of unsure how I would style for the summer. Just this Francesca's vest.
I love the way that she's being so like positive about everything. She's like poking fun at the situation because like, yeah, what? I think it's one of those where like sometimes all you can do is laugh. So before we get onto the influencer's response to this whole situation, let's start asking the main questions here. While it's absolutely great to see people buying secondhand clothes rather than just buying new stuff, you have got to question the financial decision of spending $400 on random clothes from a stranger online. That is such a gamble, but you know, Taylor was aware of that. She said so herself. On the other hand, why are influencers charging $400 for a box of their random old, stained, damaged clothes? And obviously the biggest mystery, who is the influencer in question and what were they thinking? Who did this to my girl Taylor, okay? So Taylor, who was the original poster, never verbally revealed the name of the influencer in the video, which I honestly understand. Often when things like this happen, you're kind of unsure as to whether you're in the right or you're overreacting, especially when you feel like you've been done so dirty, so casually, and you've never seen anybody else complain about having the same issue. issue. Which, you know, you can tell by her first video, she was genuinely asking. The caption literally says, like, what would you do? You know, she's probably thinking, like, am I going crazy, or is this not worth $400? So she probably didn't want to start any drama. She was just complaining out into the TikTok void, and it blew up. She actually says in a follow-up video that she wasn't expecting her original video to get as much attention as it did, which is usually the case on social media. Anyway, in said follow-up video, she reveals that she actually messaged the influencer and got a response.
I didn't really expect the video to go viral. I'm just gonna insert the screenshots of the text between me and said influencer. So I basically sent her a text saying I was really upset with what I received. She comes back and says this: yeah, I understand and I'm really sorry. Feeling upset about it, that definitely was my intention at all. The reason everything was sold together in a big box for that price is because it was a large pile of items at a heavily discounted rate. If the pieces were brand new or in perfect condition, I would have sold everything individually for much more. For example, the Maji swimsuit alone retailed for over $150.
So the influencer basically says, sorry you feel disappointed. This was a large pile of my unwanted trash, basically, and that's why everything was heavily discounted. The use of the phrase heavily discounted is interesting here. I counted 20 items in the clothes bundle that Taylor received. At $400, this means every piece on average cost about $20. Bearing in mind all of these clothes were in used condition and some were stained and broken, so is $20 per item of clothing really heavily discounted when each of those items is used and or slightly damaged? Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Perhaps compared to the original retail price, but the original retail price of something doesn't really count for anything once the item is no longer in its original condition. The influencer says that everything is used, that's why it's a discounted bundle. I feel like it really depends here as to what the clothing bundle was being sold as. Obviously, if the influencer says, hey, who wants a bag of my very worn old clothes for $200 each, then you can't really complain when they arrive and they're old and worn. But I'm not sure how these clothing bundles were being advertised. If they were being advertised as like nice, good quality clothes, in fashion pieces, everything is secondhand but it's all lightly used, then yeah, I would say that she definitely has a right to be very disappointed. I have a feeling that there weren't really any like solid expectations set with this clothes bundle, and that Taylor just kind of like expected to get $400 worth of decent clothing, as you know you would naturally hope for when you send somebody $400 for their clothes. But I think sometimes when people sell their stuff secondhand, they can often have a bit of a unreasonable idea of what their old stuff is actually worth. Feel free to pause and read this, but this is Taylor's reply. She basically says, yeah, I am disappointed. This is not what I was expecting for $400. And she says, yeah, that swimsuit would have retailed for $150 10 years ago, but now it's probably worth about $10 since it's old, stained, and damaged. She says that I feel like I've been scammed. The box feels like it was worth about $75 max. She said everything was outdated. She said I asked for summer stuff and most of this stuff is not summer stuff at all. And it looks like in response the influencer is just saying like, can you send me pictures? I want to see pictures of the damage and stains you're talking about. And at this point the comments are saying, my hypothesis, you sent her $400, she took a month because she had to go thrift the items and she profited about $350. Someone said, what is the point of not naming her? I'm getting annoyed you're not saying her name. Somebody said, I think Venmo has a dispute deadline of 30 days and maybe that's why it wasn't shipped until later. Babe, don't let her fool you. I got a Maji swimsuit from TK Maxx for $25 last summer. Name who it is. Literally there is no point in posting if you don't name the influencer and hold them accountable. And also this would help so many people to know not to buy from them. So yeah, at this point people are saying, girl, please name and shame this influencer. People should be held accountable for stuff like this. The third and final update on this situation.
Clearly my last two videos are getting a lot of attention, so I just want to address a couple things. There is a lot of like speculation in the comments of the videos of which influencer this is, and again, I am not naming any names. The goal of my video was not to ruin anyone's reputation. I'm looking at this as a lesson learned. My goal is not to put a target on someone's back. It is simply to address light on something horrible that happened to me. 25 years old. I currently do not have a job. I'm very, very self-aware of what I spend money on, and I'm very careful with how I spend my money, especially when it comes to clothing and fashion, because the trends are literally changing by the day. Simply share a story and get feedback from people of how they would address the situation. Me thinking that I'm going up against someone with a social media following like they're gonna look at me and tell me to kick rocks. Regarding the box, I've resolved that with the influencer. I was refunded full amount. I was told that I could either keep the items or send them back.
So again, TLDR, she doesn't want to name any names. That wasn't the point of her bringing this to TikTok, and she did get refunded the whole amount by the influencer. So in her eyes, the whole thing is kind of resolved. But oh my goodness, you guys, people are not happy that Taylor is refusing to reveal the name of this influencer. And people are actually turning on Taylor now and making her the villain in this story for not exposing this influencer. Comments are saying, now I'm more annoyed with you than the influencer. No, because now I'm irritated with you. Starting to believe this whole story was made up for views. Somebody said put a name on it or don't talk about it. We were on your side, now we're just annoyed by it all. And the thing is, when you refuse to say who's done you dirty, the internet will make it their mission to find out.
I would say the biggest takeaway from this whole thing isn't to buy fashion blind boxes when there's no fashion to be sent, but rather a reminder to never post your shipping labels on your public TikTok account.
Considering someone with the right tools could probably decode this shipping label.
So this guy is claiming that from the shipping label shown in the original video, he can tell that this is the influencer in question. And this is genuinely such a great example of why you should be really careful showing off things like shipping labels in any online content. People are crazy and people will scan barcodes and QR codes and they will find things out about you. So please never show things like postage labels in your videos. Just cover them up or just turn the boxes the other way. Anyway, this guy seems to think that it's this creator. He doesn't say how he came to that conclusion, something to do with being able to decode the shipping labels. The comments are saying that since this all went down, the influencer has gone private on TikTok, probably because she was getting harassed over this whole thing, guilty or not. And I believe over the past like 1 or 2 days, her account has actually disappeared from TikTok altogether. But where this really gets juicy is it looks like most of these clothes can be traced back to that influencer's social media. The leather leggings, the stripy trousers. Somebody said, oh my gosh, I found the heels on her Instagram too. They found the whatever sweater. The hat is on there too. But what's interesting is somebody said in the comments, oh my gosh, didn't she comment herself saying it wasn't her? So she apparently denied it, but I'm presuming that this was before people went all FBI on her wardrobe.
I know it took y'all until the third video to get irritated with this girl, but I was irritated from the beginning because I guess she made the first video because she wanted to know what she should do about getting, I guess, scammed out of $400. But at the end of the day, if this influencer or whoever she bought the clothes from is actually selling mystery bundles and all of them are that terrible, why not say who it is so that she doesn't get any more business, so that nobody else has to go to this? Did you really even get this mystery bundle from this girl, or did you thrift this? Tell us that you got scammed out of $400 and then told us that you got your money back just for the plot. Because anybody who's actually super honestly careful with their money, 25 years old, no job, wouldn't spend $400 on clothes they've never seen before.
So at this point, Taylor, the original poster, is being pretty heavily criticized for this whole thing, for dragging it out this much without naming any names. Now, I do understand that people fear the backlash of calling somebody out. Launching a big social media call out on somebody specific is not an easy thing for everyone to just wake up and do. Some people simply don't want to get into any serious drama. My approach to dealing with conflict online has always been, if you have a problem with someone or feel like you've been done dirty, message them first and try to resolve that problem. Drop them a DM, and if they don't have DMs open, email them. Every influencer has an email, no matter how big they are. It's usually right there in their bio because that's how they get brand deals. I think that the best way to solve anything online is to do what Taylor did. Reach out privately before naming and shaming, and if the situation gets resolved, then fine. But I think there are a lot of people on social media who are obsessed with the idea of exposing people, and they're not even really interested in the wider issue. They just love watching people get named and shamed. Maybe I'm just somebody who likes to avoid conflict, but so many things can be resolved without that kind of energy. The idea of naming and shaming people online is an interesting one, honestly. I think I've always approached it within my own content as like, I don't make content or do anything with the purpose of naming and shaming people. I will use other people's content as like case studies to explain concepts and to educate people on how things work, but naming and shaming individual people doesn't solve anything. I get so many comments like, can you react to this person? They're the overconsumer final boss. Can you react to this person? They're a massive overconsumer. And I'm like, why? Anybody with eyes can tell that this person makes overconsumption content. Nobody needs me to make a whole video exposing them. Nobody is gonna gain anything or learn anything new from me doing that. While we're on the topic of naming and shaming, this is also why I sometimes don't even credit people when I use their videos in my content, especially if I think that what I'm saying about their content could paint them in a negative light, because I'm not doing it to expose anyone or send anybody hate. I'm here to expose concepts, not people. If you watch my videos properly and you listen to the way in which I speak about things, then I hope that comes across anyway. But like, oh my gosh, if you have a problem with somebody, just reach out to them. Do what Taylor did, like message them, email them or something. I remember years ago when I was a TikToker, some random person tried to expose me for copying their content. And they made a whole video calling me out and telling people to come and harass me. And I remember being like, hey, I don't know who you are. And I also have proof that my content was made before yours was even posted. So no, I didn't copy you. So then they started getting a bunch of backlash from my followers for attacking me. It was honestly pretty funny. And I was just like, look, this is why we don't jump into exposing people or naming and shaming people, because like I understand where you're coming from, but it's usually either a misunderstanding or something that can easily be resolved with a simple conversation. But I think some people on the internet naturally presume the worst of people and try to fight fire with fire, I guess. And they think that making a call out post or video and exposing somebody, naming who did you wrong, is the only resolution to things. Anyway, that was a massive tangent on the internet's obsession with exposing people, but that's how I approach it as somebody who makes content to educate rather than to expose. So I think that's why I understand Taylor's reasoning way more than some of the people in the comments here. It is so easy to say, expose them, name and shame them, when you're not the one doing the exposing. And sometimes nobody needs to get exposed for us to learn something valuable from a situation. Someone in the comments said, hot take, these comments are not it. What the girl did was wrong, but she definitely doesn't deserve to get cancelled / lose her job because of it. Cancel culture has gotten completely out of hand. You're very mature for not wanting to hurt somebody's life over this. Taylor replies, thank you, that was never my intention, as stated from the very beginning. And straight away you see somebody reply, then don't post about it. I just find it kind of crazy how some people's approach to this whole thing is expose somebody or shut up. That's so insane to me. Like, can we not just have a conversation about something? I understand and respect why you are not naming anybody, especially if it's been resolved and you got your refund. There's no need to call people out and ruin them. You guys, she does not want to call out the person's name because that's extremely intimidating. And like she said, she doesn't want to get any hate by high-end influencers. And I think she just wanted some feedback, like she said, on what to do in a situation like that. It's not her job to prevent anyone else from getting scammed. Hot take, I actually respect you keeping their identity private. Hopefully the influencer will learn from this, and this way it's without public embarrassment. However, I spotted this in the comments. Somebody said, so is it? And then they named who everybody was speculating about. Somebody else replied, yes it is. And Taylor liked the comment saying, yes it is. What's kind of crazy to me is the idea that Taylor made up this whole story and faked receiving this clothing bundle for likes and sympathy online, especially as the items have been traced back to a specific influencer's wardrobe. But I guess there would be nothing stopping me from going to the charity shop, buying a load of random clothes and claiming it was a rubbish clothes bundle parcel sent to me by an unnamed influencer. I think this comes back around to the idea of how easy it is for people online to make things up, because people really can just make stuff up. There are no rules or laws saying that your social media content has to be real, and I think there are a lot of people out there who have trust issues with content because of that. But I'm choosing to believe that this is a real scenario, and if it is fake, I can only praise Taylor for putting together such a wild yet believable story. Either way, people are really starting to hate on her in these comments. Again, back to this comment that said starting to believe this whole story was made up for views. Somebody else replied, it is definitely, they both want clout. People are saying that these two are now like in cahoots with each other. What? Somebody said, something horrible that happened to me and you got a bad box of mystery clothes. Well, I mean, feeling like you got scammed out of $400 is probably a horrible feeling, yeah. I think trusting somebody with $400 and then having to wait 4 weeks to actually receive what you paid for is probably kind of a horrible experience. I'd be stressed out about that, especially if you're usually careful with spending and you decide to take a gamble on something just this once and it turns out to be a really rubbish experience all round. Anyway, I'm not in the business of making influencer drama videos unless there is a valuable lesson to be learned somewhere here that we can benefit from discussing. So, what have we learned from all of this? First of all, the importance of making good financial decisions, or at least well-informed financial decisions. The whole thing of spending $400 on on random influencer clothes is 100% being questioned by the people here in the comments of these videos. You know, you have no job, you claim that you're careful with money, but you spent $400 on a random clothes bundle from an influencer. That's sort of not adding up. But the thing is, I kind of get it. I get how influencers can make you feel like you're making a good choice. It is the job of an influencer to influence you. And this girl has been influenced into making this financial decision. Was it a good decision? Well, no, because the clothes turned out to be rubbish. But she didn't know that, so in my opinion, you can't really drag her for getting scammed because that wasn't her fault. I think if you're somebody who is very careful with money, you can often think, am I missing out on something good here because I am too careful with my money? So I do understand wanting to step out of your comfort zone and take that risk. However, it's so important to only spend money on things when we know the specifics of what we will be receiving, or if we are happy to take the risk of getting something that might fall below our expectations. Any surprise bundle is a gamble. There is no guarantee you're gonna like what you get. If you're in a position financially where you can drop $400 on a gamble, fine. It's your money, go for it, but you have to be aware of the risks because people do be scamming, unfortunately.
Did you guys find out which influencer was selling the bundle of clothing for $400 yet? Because I want to know. I'm really nosy. But also, to me, I know it's an unpopular opinion, but that is just greedy. Like selling clothes like that for $400.
I think the clothes bundle concept in itself is a bit of an interesting one. You gotta question, why is this influencer getting rid of these clothes? Is it because they genuinely want these clothes to have a second life and think they can be enjoyed by somebody else? Or do they just want to make some quick cash on their unwanted trash? You know, the influencer actually said in their response messages, if the pieces were in like really good condition, I would have sold everything individually for much more money. By that, it kind of sounds like they're saying, I knew this stuff was kind of rubbish, hence why I sold it in a heavily discounted bundle. I do think that perhaps what we're seeing here is maybe a bit of a difference in people's value of money. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but let me explain. So like maybe to some people, $400 is not a lot of money. Some people can like, you know, earn $400 in a day, passive income. So to them, $400 is a reasonable and heavily discounted price to pay for some secondhand clothes. But to other people, $400 is a lot of money and they're thinking like, oh my gosh, it takes me a lot of time to earn $400. I could buy a lot for $400 and what I've received here is not worth $400. So I think there might be a little bit of that at play here too. Let's take a quick look here at an example of a style bundle done right, or at least done better, in my opinion.
This is from Genevieve Fashion, and I don't know what's in here, and I'm really excited, so let's open it. She messaged me and she told me to make a Pinterest board of my inspo, and what she does is she puts it on Depop and you order it off of there. Prices are very good for the amount of stuff that is said to be in here, so let's see. Oh my gosh, it already looks so cute. All right, let's just go through everything. This is cute. So we have this Gap shirt. Oh my gosh, look at how cute this is. This top is from Hollister, and it's so cute, and it's got a number on the back. Next, this pink jersey, black baggy jeans. Next, this is from Zara. Next is this plain red tank top. Here are some really cute shorts from Hollister. These are like the vintage low-rise ones. Then this top, I've actually been looking for this top for so long. Lastly, for clothing is this super cool jacket. And there's a couple cute bracelets.
So this is a slightly different concept where the seller uses the buyer's Pinterest board to figure out what style they would like, and then they put together the bundle based off of that. But still, I'm guessing these are like secondhand clothes maybe. There's no like new tags that I can see. They all look like they're in decent condition. I did have a look at the seller's website and it looks like this is the medium bundle maybe, which is $60 to $70. Very reasonable for a hand-picked style bundle in my opinion. I have a feeling that something of this quality was probably what Taylor was expecting from her clothes bundle. And when you do compare this nice little curated bundle to Taylor's $400 old, used, stained, random, secondhand clothing bundle, you can really see the difference there. Like I said earlier, sure, it's great that we're rehoming unwanted clothes instead of dumping them in the trash, but if you're charging $200 for 10 crusty items, really all you're doing here is putting people off the idea of buying secondhand clothes, and that really sucks. So back to Taylor's situation. Who do I think is at fault here? I think the influencer, whoever they are, should have been very clear on what exactly they were selling and the conditions of the items in their clothes bundle. I think $400 for the items in that bundle is insanely overpriced. I very much agree with Taylor in that this entire bundle looked to be worth about $75 maybe less. I'm not sure what was going on with the whole shipping delay. That was kind of sus too. The influencer definitely should have been way clearer about what was going on there and shipped the items a lot sooner, especially as the payment had already been received. But at the end of the day, the influencer did give Taylor a full refund, so it got resolved. You guys know me, you probably know how I feel about the whole thing. I personally think spending $400 on influencer clothes is wild, but I can see how to some people that might be something they want to spend money on. I mean, I spent $400 wishing on Genshin Impact in 2021, so who am I to judge? And as I keep saying, I love that we are buying secondhand clothes. I love that. But you have to be prepared for the possibility of disappointment when you're spending your money on a gamble. And while nobody got exposed, I think Taylor posting about the situation in general has brought attention to the issues with buying influencer clothes bundles, so that's a good thing in itself. I guess the main takeaways that I want us to have from this whole situation is, number one, be careful with your money and be careful buying things from people online. Be careful trusting influencers. They are still unpredictable strangers, no matter how much you feel like you can trust them. Remember that surprise bundles are always a gamble, and we should not be gambling unless we are happy with the financial risks that accompany that. The same goes for blind boxes, mystery packs, lucky scoops, all that kind of stuff. Spend your money on what you want, but make sure you are happy not knowing what you're going to receive. Try to remember that while buying things secondhand is an absolutely great thing to do, make sure you pay attention to what condition those items are in, and check that you're not paying loads of money for a secondhand item that isn't of good quality or is damaged. Ask the seller plenty of questions so you know exactly what you're buying. And if you're the one selling the secondhand things, don't be a scammer about it. If you're selling really used, worn out, old pieces of clothing, then please make that clear and make sure those items are priced accordingly. It doesn't matter what those items were worth 10 years ago when you bought them brand new. What are those items worth now? Because one man's trash is not always another man's treasure, and trying to sell your trash as treasure is a scammy thing to do. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you're new here today. I post a new short every single day and a new long form video every Saturday. Follow me on Instagram. I've just started posting daily over there, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!